Good morning. Today our learning target is I can add and subtract with signed numbers or using integer rules. So operations with signed numbers is how we're going to start our unit for unit one. So it's just a bit of review from seventh grade, okay? And hopefully you will remember as we go through, oh, okay, that is what the rules are. So our focus today is just going to be for adding and subtracting only, okay? Exercise 1. It is important to be able to add simple and relatively small signed numbers without a calculator by thinking about how positive and negative numbers cancel each other in addition. Thinking about how positive and negative numbers cancel each other. So if we think about our first example, negative 8 plus 14, I can take the number that has more of its sign. We have 8 negatives here and 14 positives here, and 14 has more positives. So I can pull this number apart to make it have common amounts that match the negative. So I can pull it apart to be 8 plus 6. Now I have opposites here. Negative 8 plus 8 cancel each other out. Kind of what it said here, cancel each other out. And therefore, we make 0 plus 6, which we know is 6. Negative 20 plus 15. So negative 20 has more negative than 15 has positive. So we're going to pull apart negative 20, taking 5 away and 15 away to be negative 5 plus negative 15, bringing down that plus 15 with it. Noticing now I have opposites here. So these match up and cancel out, and we are left with a negative 5. A negative 6 plus a negative 10. Well, it says that positive and negative numbers cancel each other out, and these are both negative. So when we have a group of 6 negative things and 10 negative things, we have 16 negative things. So that's my answer. I just combined them. Okay, hopefully that triggered some thoughts about seventh grade and some connections. Let's go down to subtraction. So we are told in seventh grade that we can convert any subtraction problem into an addition problem. Okay, so maybe some of your teachers use keep, change, opposite as a phrase to get you to change the positive, the subtraction, to a plus a negative. Okay, so 10 minus 3 we know is 7, but 10 minus 3 we can turn into 10 plus negative 3. And again, 10 can be pulled apart, thinking in your head, 7 plus 3 plus negative 3. This cancels, and I'm left with positive 7. Changing 9 minus 20. Keep the 9, change subtraction to addition. The opposite of 20 is a negative 20. So again, pulling this apart. 9 plus negative 9, let's see, 20 minus 9, I'm going to have negative 11 left. So negative 11 is my final answer. These are my very favorite because when I change 6 minus negative 2 to 6 plus positive 2, keeping, changing, opposite, I'm left with a positive 8. But if you guys remember from last year, when you have this double negative, this double negation, oh yeah, you can just cancel it out just like that. Okay, it is important to be able to rewrite subtraction as addition because addition has the properties of being commutative and associative. Commutative means that we move back and forth. So we can move the um, terms around and put them in different positions without changing the meaning or the value of the expression. Associative means that we can change the groupings. I always think of it like associates, your associates you hang out with in school. You can change who you're hanging out with and still be friends with everyone. All right, let's go down to exercise 3. For each of the following, we're going to rewrite using only sums. Group the positives together and the negatives together. Find the sum of the positives and the sum of the negatives, and then find the overall sum. So first I have to rewrite only using sums. So that means every time I see a subtraction, I change it to an addition. So we have 7 plus negative 10 plus 2. There's a subtraction, so I'm changing it to a plus a negative 5. That's all addition, plus negative 3 plus 11. So here I have a negative, here I have a negative, and here I have a negative. There's a positive, and a positive. I'm doing these symbols to help me group because the second prompt is group the positive and negatives together. So here we go. 7 plus 2 plus 11. And I'm going to put them in a group together. Plus negative 10 plus negative 5 plus negative 3. And putting them in a group together. Find the sum of the positives and the sum of the negatives. 7 plus 2 is 9, plus 11, we get 20, plus 10 and 5 negatives, that's negative 15, plus 3 more negatives, that's a total of 18 negatives. Now I have different signs. So I'm going to think about that, about how I can make those opposites and pull the higher amount apart. So 20 becomes 18 plus 2 plus negative 18. Here's my opposites right here. These cancel, and I'm left with 2. My final answer. So let's try that again. Number 1, we're going to rewrite using only sums. So everywhere I see a subtraction sign. Here we go. Negative 8 plus 9. There's a subtraction sign. I make it plus a negative 2. Subtraction sign. Plus opposite of negative 5 is 5. Keep the plus 3. Take that subtraction, make it plus a negative 10. Now it wants me to regroup. So here's a subtraction, a negative, and a negative. Positive, positive, positive. So I have 9 plus 5 plus 3. Regrouping is the associative property. Okay. I have 9 plus 5 plus 3. Let's see, 5 and 3 is 8. Plus 9, 17. Plus, I have 8 and 2 negatives, that's 10 negatives. Plus 10 more negatives, that's 20 negatives. Different signs there. I can pull apart this negative 20 because it has more. I'll pull it apart to negative 17 plus negative 3. This 17 plus negative 17 cancel out, and you're left with 3 as your final answer. Okay, hopefully that brought back some understanding. What we're going to do now is on your paper, I'm going to have you try a couple, and then I'm going to ask you to pause the video and then check your answer. So here we go. Number 1, which of the following calculations would produce a negative result? So we just talked about how negative 5 plus 12, we can pull apart the 12, the one with more. 12 had more positive. So I'm going to pull it apart to be 5 plus 7. These cancel. So we're left with 7 as our answer, and that's a positive 7. When I'm dividing and there's only one negative, my answer ends up being negative. So that's going to be negative 3. So far, I think number 2 is most likely my answer, but I need to check in with 3 and 4. Negative 9 times negative 5, that's multiplication. So a negative times a negative cancels out with multiplication, if you remember. That's positive 45. And if we keep change opposite, we end up with more positives. So pulling apart that 20, I'll have 2, a -5, and a 5 canceling, and I'll end up with positive 15. So my answer is number 2, for which one has a negative result. Find each of the following sums. So now we're going to find each of the following sums. So pause your camera, your video, try to find your sums, and then play so that you can check your answers. So we have -30 plus 18. So -30 has more. So we're going to pull out an 18 from it, plus a -12 plus 18. So this and this will cancel, and our answer is -12. We have -11 plus -9. A lot of negatives, so we just add it all up, and we get -20. Next one, we have 22 plus -12, different signs. So we got to form some opposites here. Let's see, I want to pull 12 out of the positive 22. So 12 plus 10 plus -12. This 12 and -12 will cancel, and we'll end up with positive 10. And then another addition with opposites, we have -17 plus 17, both opposites. Therefore, my answer is 0. Okay, number 3, for each of the following differences, do the following. Change the difference into a sum and evaluate the sum. Pause your video now, do your problems, and then play your video to go over the answers. So for A, we have 10 plus -7 when we change it. Keep, change, opposite. For B, we keep the 9, we change subtraction to addition, and the opposite of 17 is -17. C, keep the -5, change subtraction to addition, the opposite of 8 is -8. And D, keep the 14, change subtraction to addition, the opposite of -3, +3. Now I need to evaluate the sums. So 10 plus -7, I can match up 7 positives with 7 negatives. 7 plus 3 plus -7. So 7 positives and 7 negatives. My answer is 3 when I cancel out the 7. 9 plus -17. I'm going to have to pull away 9 negatives. So 9 plus -9 plus -8 left. These cancel, and we're left with -8. I only have negatives here, so I'm just going to add them together because I have a big pile of negatives. I can't cancel anything out. So I have 13 negatives. And here I only have positives, just a big pile of positives. So I add them together and I get 17. Okay, let's head down to number 4. Number 4, we definitely have some more complicated problems. So why don't we try A together, where we write it as addition, we combine the positives and negatives separately, and then we find the final value. Let's do that. Pause your video and see if you can try to set up the rewrite as addition. Okay, the rewrite as addition is 15 plus -5 plus -3 plus 7 plus -11. You might be saying, why is Mrs. Brown writing all of these parentheses? Well, I kind of just use them to protect myself and to protect that negative from being lost, because sometimes I write a little messy. So now I'm going to use the associative property to move around and regroup the positives together and the negatives together. Notice how it looks a little different there than there when I write it in my bubble. -5 plus -3 plus -11. That's a total of -19. So 22 plus -19, I can pull 19 positives away. So I have 19 plus 3 plus -19 These cancel and I'm left with positive 3 again. Okay, let's try B. Negative 8 plus 15 minus 2 minus negative 6 minus 11. Negative 8 plus 15 plus negative 2 plus positive 6 plus negative 11. Let's regroup. I'm going to put a line there to organize my work. Negative 8 plus negative 2 plus negative 11 all together, plus 15 plus 6. Let's see, this is 21 plus negative 8 plus negative 2 plus negative 11 is going to give me negative 21. Oh, wow, look at that. Complete opposites. My answer is 0. And now we have C. 25 plus 7 plus negative 20. My lights just went out in my room. I must be working really hard. The sensor went off. Let me turn on my Elmo light. Plus negative 16 plus 3. So rearranging, I'm going to group the positives first this time, but it doesn't matter because the commutative property, when you're adding, order does not matter. And interestingly enough, that's similar. If everything is addition, order doesn't matter, even if they're negative, and it's all addition. Subtraction, however, different story. So we get 32 here, plus 3, that's 35, plus negative 36. Adding those together, we get negative 1. I hope you did okay on this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. No homework tonight besides finishing your slides. They are due at midnight.